The Cleveland Browns may have just changed the entire mood around their franchise in one draft weekend. While many teams focused on flashy names and predictable moves, Cleveland quietly attacked one of the biggest needs in football, building an offense that can actually grow. Instead of chasing headlines, they added real weapons, depth, and upside. That's why fans are suddenly paying close attention. The Browns didn't just make selections, they appeared to follow a clear plan. Adding talent like Denzel gave them size, scoring potential, and another dangerous option in the passing game. Combined with earlier offensive additions, the message feels obvious. Cleveland wants to become tougher, faster, and more explosive immediately. For a franchise that has dealt with inconsistency for years, this kind of direction matters. It gives fans something they haven't had enough of: real optimism. And if these moves work the way Cleveland hopes, this draft may be remembered as the moment the Browns finally started building the right way. The moment Denzel was still sitting on the board, people around the league started paying attention. Many expected a player with his size, production, and upside to be gone much earlier. That's why when Cleveland managed to land him, the reaction was immediate. For many fans and analysts, it didn't feel like a normal second-round pick. It felt like the Browns stole value right in front of everyone. What made the surprise even bigger was how rare his profile is. Receivers with Boston's frame don't come around often. Bigger wideouts who can move well, track the ball, and win in traffic are always valuable in today's NFL. Defenses spend so much time preparing for speed and spread concepts that a physical receiver who can dominate smaller defenders becomes a nightmare matchup. Cleveland may have recognized that while others overthought it. Some draft concerns reportedly centered around separation and route-running polish, which often happens with bigger receivers entering the league. But teams sometimes fall into a trap of focusing too much on what a player doesn't do instead of what he already does at a high level. Boston's ability to make contested catches, finish in tight spaces, and become a red zone weapon can change games quickly. Those traits are hard to teach. That's why the Browns staying patient matters. Instead of panicking or reaching for a safer name, they trusted the board and waited for talent to fall to them. Smart organizations know the draft is about maximizing value, not winning the first round of public opinion. If Cleveland truly believed Boston could become a major contributor, waiting and getting him later makes the move even stronger. There's also the production side. Big-bodied receivers who consistently find the end zone always attract attention because touchdowns translate. Coaches love players who can create easy scoring opportunities near the goal line. Quarterbacks love targets who give them room for error. Throwing to a wide receiver with size and catch radius can make difficult situations much simpler. That's one reason this pick created so much buzz. For Browns fans, the shock wasn't only that Boston was available, it was that Cleveland actually capitalized on the opportunity. Too often, fan bases watch other teams benefit from value while their own front office misses chances. This time, Browns supporters saw their team stay disciplined and aggressive at the same time. That combination creates trust quickly. And the timing made it even louder. Cleveland had already made offensive additions earlier, so Boston didn't feel like a desperation move. He felt like another calculated step in a bigger plan that changes how people view the entire draft. Right now, it's still projection. He hasn't played an NFL snap. But if Denzel develops the way many believe he can, this won't be remembered as a surprising pick. It'll be remembered as the moment Cleveland found one of the steals of the draft. One of the biggest problems NFL offenses face is finishing drives. Moving the ball between the 20-yard lines is one thing, but scoring once the field gets tight is something completely different. Windows shrink, defenders get more aggressive, and space disappears fast. That's why players like Denzel can become so valuable. Cleveland may not have just drafted another receiver, they may have added a true red zone weapon. Boston brings the kind of size that immediately changes how defenses have to think near the goal line. When a quarterback sees a bigger target with strong hands and body control, it creates confidence instantly. Even if coverage is tight, a pass can still be placed high or away from defenders where only the receiver has a real chance. That kind of margin for error is priceless in scoring situations. Some wide receivers win with pure speed, others win with sharp route running. Boston's path could be different. He looks like the kind of player who wins through physicality, timing, and contested catches. Those traits become even more dangerous in the red zone because defenders can't rely on open field recovery speed. Once the ball is in the air, strength, positioning, and timing often decide everything. That's why this pick could help Cleveland immediately. Many young offenses stall because they move the ball well but settle for field goals. One reliable end zone target can change that overnight. Suddenly fade routes become realistic. Back shoulder throws become dangerous. Third and goal becomes less stressful. Coordinators can call plays knowing they have someone who can simply go make a play. There's also a psychological impact. Defenses hate dealing with large receivers near the goal line because even perfect coverage doesn't always matter. A smaller cornerback can be in position and still lose at the catch point. That forces teams to adjust by bringing safeties over or using bigger matchups, which opens opportunities elsewhere. One player can tilt how an entire defense aligns. For Cleveland, this matters because red zone success often separates average teams from playoff teams. The difference between 3 points and 7 points changes games quickly. If Boston becomes a consistent touchdown threat, his value will go far beyond statistics. He could become the player who finishes drives others start. And he may offer more than jump balls. Bigger receivers who move well can create yards after the catch, block in the run game, and punish defenses that tackle poorly. If Boston develops those areas too, Cleveland gets more than a specialist. They get a complete mismatch piece. Of course, he still has to prove it against NFL corners. College success doesn't guarantee pro production, but the traits are there and the fit makes sense. Cleveland needed more scoring punch, especially in tight spaces. Boston gives them a player built for exactly those moments. If that translates quickly, Browns fans may soon realize they didn't just draft a receiver, they drafted someone who can turn stalled drives into touchdowns. What made the Denzel Boston move feel even bigger was that Cleveland's draft momentum had already started before his name was called. This wasn't a front office reacting in panic or trying to recover from earlier mistakes. The Browns had already been active, already adding offensive talent, and already showing signs of a clear plan. That's why Boston's arrival stood out so much. He didn't look like a random pick. He looked like another piece in a strategy already in motion. Too many teams treat the draft like damage control. They chase needs one by one, reach for players under pressure, and hope the board saves them. Cleveland appeared to do the opposite. They stayed patient, trusted value, and kept stacking offensive help. That approach matters because good rosters are rarely built through one dramatic selection. They're built through multiple smart decisions that complement each other. The Browns seemed focused on exactly that. Earlier additions brought explosiveness, versatility, and depth. Then Boston arrived with size, physicality, and red zone upside. Those skill sets don't overlap. They balance each other. One player can threaten defenses horizontally with quickness and movement. Another can punish them vertically or in contested spaces. That kind of contrast makes an offense harder to defend. This is where Cleveland's approach starts to look smarter than people first realized. Instead of drafting duplicates, they appeared to be building layers. Different body types, different strengths, different ways to attack defenses. Smart offensive teams know variety creates matchup problems. If one receiver is neutralized, another can become the answer. If a defense plays small, size hurts them. If a defense plays heavy, speed punishes them. That flexibility can help whoever plays quarterback. Whether it's Shedeur Sanders or another passer under center, life gets easier when the offense offers multiple answers. Quarterbacks struggle most when defenses know exactly what's coming. Cleveland's additions suggest they want unpredictability that can create cleaner reads, easier throws, and more confidence. There's also the emotional side of what the Browns did. Fans can tell when a team is improvising and when a team has vision. This draft felt more like vision. Instead of forcing headlines, Cleveland kept making practical moves that also carried upside. That builds trust with a fan base that has seen too many disconnected plans in the past. Another important detail is depth. Injuries happen every season. Slumps happen every season. Teams that rely on one or two weapons often collapse when adversity hits. Teams with layers can survive setbacks. By continuing to add after already improving the offense, Cleveland may be protecting itself from exactly that problem. And that's why Boston's pick felt louder than just one selection. It confirmed the Browns weren't finished after their first good move. They kept pressing forward. They kept investing. They kept shaping an identity. If this continues into camp and the regular season, fans may look back and realize Cleveland didn't just have a solid draft. They quietly built an offense with answers everywhere. No matter who lines up under center, the Browns' recent moves may have accomplished something every quarterback wants, making the job easier. Quarterbacks often receive all the praise or all the blame, but their success is usually tied to what surrounds them. Protection, reliable targets, and offensive balance can change everything. That's why Cleveland's additions could matter just as much to the quarterback room as they do to the fans. Start with the obvious benefit: bigger throwing windows. Adding a target like Denzel Boston gives any quarterback a receiver who can win with size and catch radius. Not every pass has to be perfect when you have a wideout who can shield defenders and make contested catches. That can boost confidence quickly, especially on third downs and near the goal line. Then there's the value of speed and versatility elsewhere in the room. When defenses have to worry about explosive slot weapons, motion players, or receivers who can turn short throws into long gains, pressure shifts away from the quarterback. Suddenly, he doesn't need to force difficult passes every drive. Sometimes all he has to do is make the correct read and let playmakers do the rest. That's how efficient offenses are built. Protection matters just as much. If Cleveland continues improving the offensive line, it gives quarterbacks the most valuable asset in football: time. Time to scan the field, time to progress through reads, time to stay calm under pressure. A quarterback who trusts his protection plays differently than one expecting chaos. He steps into throws, keeps his eyes downfield, and processes faster. Confidence often starts in the pocket. This could be especially important for Shedeur if he becomes part of the long-term plan. Young quarterbacks develop best when they aren't asked to be superheroes immediately. They need structure. They need receivers who help them look right. They need coaches who can call balanced games. Cleveland's roster moves suggest they understand that development is a team project, not a solo mission. And even if another quarterback starts first, the benefits remain the same. Competition improves everyone. Veterans play sharper when younger talent pushes the room. Young players learn faster when experienced quarterbacks set standards. When the supporting cast improves, every passer in camp gets a fairer chance to succeed. That can create better practices, tougher competition, and more clarity for coaches. There's also a mental side to this. Quarterbacks notice when an organization invests on offense. It signals commitment. It says the front office wants success, not excuses. That can raise trust inside the room and create stronger buy-in from players trying to lead the team. For too long, Cleveland's quarterback story felt unstable. Too often, passers were expected to fix broken situations instead of entering healthy ones. These moves suggest the Browns may be trying something smarter: build the environment first, then let the quarterback thrive inside it. If that plan works, the biggest winner from this draft class may not be one receiver or one lineman. It may be whoever takes the first snap. Not long ago, the Cleveland Browns' wide receiver room looked like a group with talent but plenty of unanswered questions. There were pieces to like, but not enough variety, not enough depth, and not enough reasons for defenses to lose sleep. After this draft, that conversation may have changed completely. Cleveland's receiver room suddenly looks deeper, more versatile, and far more dangerous than many expected. The biggest reason is balance. Great receiving groups aren't built with 5 copies of the same player. They need different body types, different skill sets, and different ways to stress defenses. Cleveland now appears to have exactly that. They've added size, speed, quickness, route running, and after-the-catch ability all in the same room. That creates problems for defensive coordinators before the ball is even snapped. Start with Denzel Boston. He brings length, physicality, and red zone upside. Bigger receivers force defenses to make choices. Put a smaller corner on him, and he can win at the catch point. Put a safety over the top, and space opens underneath for someone else. Players like that don't just produce, they change how opponents line up. Then there's the quicker, more explosive side of the room. Cleveland has players who can win in space, turn screens into chunk plays, and create separation early in routes. Those players matter because they make life easier for the quarterback. Easy completions keep drives alive. Yards after catch punish missed tackles. Speed forces defenses to play with more caution. Veteran presence matters too. Established receivers help stabilize young rooms. They understand coverages, route adjustments, and how to handle weekly NFL preparation. Younger players bring upside, but veterans often bring consistency. If Cleveland blends both properly, the room becomes more than talented, it becomes reliable. Another major advantage is matchup flexibility. Some teams can be defended the same way every week. Cleveland may no longer fit that category. Need to attack the red zone, use size, need quick game against pressure, use speed and timing, need to stretch the field, use vertical threats, need a possession drive on third down, use stronger route runners and body control targets. The offense can now shape-shift depending on the opponent. Depth is just as important as star power. Injuries happen every season. Slumps happen every season. Teams with only one or two real options can collapse fast when adversity hits. Teams with multiple playable weapons survive. Cleveland adding more pieces suggests they're preparing for the long season, not just opening week. This also raises the standard in practice. Better receiver rooms create sharper camps. Corners are challenged more. Quarterbacks get better reps. Coaches can install more concepts. Competition inside the building often creates improvement before the season even begins. Of course, potential on paper still has to become production on Sundays. Names and traits alone don't win games. Chemistry, execution, and health will decide the real story. But for the first time in a while, Cleveland's receiver room doesn't just look functional, it looks intriguing. And if these pieces click faster than expected, what looked like a weakness could become one of the Browns' most dangerous strengths. Sometimes NFL teams make their loudest statements without saying a single word. No dramatic press conference, no bold promise, no public guarantee. They let their actions speak instead. That may be exactly what the Cleveland Browns front office just did during this draft. Every move seemed to carry the same message. This team has a plan, and they are serious about following it. For years, one of the biggest criticisms around Cleveland was inconsistency. Too often, moves felt reactive instead of strategic. One season, it was about chasing a quick fix. Another season, it was about patching holes with short-term answers. Fans saw talent come and go, but they rarely saw a clear long-term direction. This draft felt different. It felt like a front office operating with confidence rather than panic. The biggest sign of that was patience. Many teams enter the draft desperate and force picks because they fear missing out. Cleveland appeared willing to trust the board. Instead of reaching, they waited for value to come to them. That's how smart franchises operate. They understand the difference between making noise and making winning decisions. When players like Denzel Boston were still available, the Browns were in position to capitalize. They also showed commitment to offense. Rather than spreading resources randomly, Cleveland focused on adding weapons, improving support pieces, and strengthening the environment around the quarterback room. That matters because successful teams know offense drives today's NFL. If you can score, adapt, and create matchup problems, you always have a chance. The Browns' moves suggested they understand where the modern game is headed. Another message they sent was belief in development. Some franchises only chase finished products. Others look for traits they can grow into production. Cleveland's selections hinted at a front office that values upside, coaching fit, and long-term growth. That requires confidence in your staff and system. It says you're not just collecting names, you're building players. There was also discipline in the way they balanced immediate needs with future vision. They added pieces that can help now, but also players who could become much bigger contributors later. That's a sign of mature roster building. Teams stuck in survival mode often think only about the next few months. Teams with direction think about the next few years. Fans notice these things quickly. Supporters can tell when a draft feels random and when it feels connected. This class felt connected. Each move seemed to support the next one. Add explosiveness, add size, add depth, add flexibility. Piece by piece, Cleveland looked like a team shaping an identity instead of hopping one appears naturally. Of course, front office praise only lasts if results follow. Great draft weekends can be forgotten fast if players don't develop or coaches don't maximize talent. But perception matters, and right now the perception around Cleveland has shifted. Instead of looking uncertain, the Browns look organized. Instead of reacting, they look proactive. That may be the strongest message of all. The Browns didn't just add players, they showed the league they may finally know exactly who they want to be. The Cleveland Browns may not be the loudest team in the NFL right now, but that could be exactly why the rest of the league should pay attention. Some franchises dominate headlines all offseason, only to disappoint once games begin. Others quietly improve piece by piece, then suddenly become a problem when the season starts. Cleveland's recent moves are starting to feel like the second type. What makes them dangerous is not one superstar addition, it's the combination of upgrades across the offense. They didn't just add a single weapon and call it progress. They added size, versatility, depth, and support around the quarterback room. That matters because balanced teams are harder to defend than top-heavy teams. When opponents can't focus on stopping only one player, everything becomes more complicated. Adding Denzel Boston gives Cleveland a different kind of threat. Bigger receivers create matchup issues that defenses can't solve with speed alone. In the red zone, size becomes even more valuable. On third down, physical targets become security blankets. If Boston develops quickly, he gives the Browns another layer opponents must prepare for every week. Then there's the speed and quickness already in the room. Explosive slot options, motion players, and receivers who can create yards after the catch force defenses to stretch horizontally. Add a big-body target outside, and suddenly coordinators have to defend every part of the field. That's how offenses become unpredictable, and unpredictable offenses are dangerous. The quarterback situation also makes Cleveland worth watching. Whether it's Shedeur Sanders or another passer taking control, the Browns appear focused on creating a friendlier environment than in past years. Better weapons, more balance, and stronger protection can raise the level of any quarterback room. Sometimes league-wide surprises begin when average quarterback play suddenly becomes efficient because the structure improved. Another reason teams should notice is momentum. Confidence matters in the NFL. If Cleveland starts the season strong, belief inside the locker room can rise quickly. Home crowds get louder, veterans buy in harder. Young players develop faster in winning environments. Teams that begin with energy often become tougher outs by mid-season than preseason predictions suggested. There's also the emotional factor many opponents underestimate. Cleveland fans are passionate, and when that city believes something real is building, the atmosphere changes. Road teams feel it. Pressure increases. Games become heavier. A fan base that senses hope can become an advantage all by itself. Of course, none of this guarantees dominance. Talent on paper still has to become production on Sundays. Chemistry, coaching, and health will decide whether this becomes real or fades away. But smart teams pay attention before everyone else does. Right now, Cleveland looks like a franchise quietly building answers while others chase headlines. And if these offensive pieces click sooner than expected, the Browns won't just be improved, they'll be the kind of team contenders hate seeing on the schedule. So now the real question is no longer whether the Cleveland Browns had a good draft. The bigger question is whether this was the moment the franchise quietly changed direction. On the surface, it looked like a strong weekend of smart selections, but when you look closer, it may have been much more than that. Cleveland added weapons, upgraded depth, improved offensive flexibility, and created a better situation for whoever leads the offense moving forward. That is how serious teams build. For years, the Browns have lived in a cycle of almost stable, almost dangerous, almost ready to compete. Talent would appear, momentum would build, and then something always seemed to fall apart. Quarterback uncertainty, roster imbalance, injuries, or inconsistency kept resetting progress. That history is why this draft feels important. It did not feel like another temporary patch. It felt like an organization trying to build something sustainable. Adding players like Denzel Boston gives the offense traits it previously lacked. Size matters in the red zone. Physicality matters on third down. Catch radius matters when plays break down. Those details often decide close games. Meanwhile, adding speed, versatility, and depth elsewhere means defenses can no longer focus on stopping one option. Cleveland may finally be creating an offense with answers instead of excuses. The quarterback room benefits most from all of this. Whether it becomes Shedeur Sanders or another player taking control, the environment now looks healthier than it did before. Better targets, stronger support, and more offensive balance give any passer a fairer chance to succeed. That may be the smartest move the Browns made, improving the structure before demanding results. There is also something harder to measure, but impossible to ignore: energy. Fans feel it, players feel it, coaches feel it. Cleveland suddenly looks like a team with momentum instead of confusion. The city is paying attention again. The roster feels more complete. The front office appears more aligned. Sometimes that emotional shift becomes the first sign that real progress is coming. Of course, nothing has been won yet. Draft grades mean nothing in October if players do not develop. Potential means nothing if execution never follows. There will be setbacks, criticism, and pressure the moment games begin. Every young player must prove it when the lights come on. Cleveland is no exception. But this time feels different because the Browns did more than chase names, they built fit. They did more than create headlines, they added function. They did more than sell hope, they gave it structure. So the rest of the league should keep watching closely. Because if these moves translate the way Cleveland believes they can, this won't be remembered as just a productive draft. It will be remembered as the weekend the Browns stopped rebuilding and started becoming a real threat.